Wrong one. Dave here, how are you? I stuffed up a little bit at the beginning there, didn't I? Pushed the wrong button. Okay, today is the 10th of January 2020 and a beautiful summer day outside for us here in Australia. It's been wet, 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 as Cole from Gifkin's Dovetail Jig has just been saying. Today on the show, we're going to be doing, as I promised last week, rebuilding and doing a little bit more work on my Stanley 4.5 smoother. Thanks, Peter, that's great. And Derek, thank you very much for being so considerate and letting me know. That's fantastic. So the smoother, what I did was during the week, I jumped in and I got a lot of the hack work done. I'm going to show you some photos, so if you bear with me, we'll go through that. We're actually going to polish up, good on you, Paul. We're going to polish up the knob on the lathe. I'll bring that over here, and also we'll finish up cleaning the depth adjustment wheel, which is this one, 2021. Whoop, there you go. So we're going to clean all of that up as well. I've taken it absolutely to bits. Now, also my apologies to Vic Teslin. Vic has put a post on Facebook or Instagram saying that he was going to, one of his students had asked him to, if he could go through doing exactly what I'm doing now. I made comment that this was going to be the topic of the show last week at the end of the last show, and I'd done all the prep work, so I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing, but it was one of those coincidence things. And Vic, mate, I'm sorry if we kind of clashed a little bit there. All right, 2021. How many people are out there saying 2020 still? Are you still writing this 2020? Because it was just so easy. Dink, 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 dink. Now I've got to go dink, 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 dink. But I'm a two-fingered typer. All right. Oh, one of the other things, we're going to talk about deep cycling batteries, something that I've needed to do just recently. All right. The plain body. This is how it's looking now. So what I've got it to a stage where it's been painted with satin black, and it's a primer and also finish paint in one go. It's really nice paint. I forget who makes it, but it's, yeah, every hardware's going to have it all over the place. Pictures of where we were. So I'm going to slide down to here. First thing I did was I took everything apart and gave it a bath in evaporust. Now, if you leave stuff in evaporust too long, it'll go grey. So I took it out, I kept my eye on it, and I took it out around about an hour after it had been in there. Now, the front of the plain body, you'll see that the screw that holds the knob on in that picture, it's still a bit rusty, but I didn't want to take it back out, drop it back in the evaporust. All right, so here you can see it after it's come out of the evaporust and dried off. And that's basically, you know, it was looking really daggy. Now I've also gone over the whole thing with masking tape to make sure. Have you pasted Facebook, Instagram? Oh, I'll tell you what, you guys are looking after me. Let's do it. Let's do it. Done. You guys, you may or may not get a Facebook post, but anyway, it's gone to Instagram. Where was I? Okay, so this all totally masked. And also the frog, I did the same thing for that. And on my Turner hand planes, I'll come back to this one. On my Turner hand planes, they've all got a satin finish. Basically, it's a Japanning, I guess you could call it, on the body, and the frogs were aluminium and they were a high gloss. So I've gone the same kind of thing. I've gone high gloss on the frog. This is not an aluminium frog, this is steel, and it doesn't bend. That's the only thing that was the downside of the turners. If you tighten the lever cap up too much, it would bend. Also, I did say that I was going to talk about the names of parts and all that kind of stuff. So we'll start with I'm all over the place today, don't worry. We'll start with the body of the plane. The way I remember my way around the body of a plane is to relate it to my foot. It's easy. The sole of your foot. The front is the toe. The rear is the heel. The only thing in here that doesn't relate to your foot is the mouth. That's where the blade comes through. That'd be a weird thing to have your mouth in the bottom of your foot. Anyway, that's the easy way to remember your way around it. Sole, toe, heel. Whilst I've got it there, how about I take the masking tape off and we'll see what it looks like. Because I cleaned all the steel work up as well prior to putting the tape on. You like that? I haven't got it perfect because I didn't want to go into it too deep. There's a couple of things on this plane that I didn't want to remove. And one is my initials. Can you see that stamped in there? I did that when I was 16 with a center punch, just so that, I don't know, just so that I wouldn't get confused with someone else's plane. And that's when I got to the habit of putting my name on things. What do you reckon? Do you like the look of it? It's not hard to do. It really isn't hard to do. And I find it picks my game up a little bit. If the tools that I've got are nice and clean and, you know, I think they speak something of the person that's doing the work. So it's just ordinary masking tape. There we go. So that's the body of the plane, all tidied up. I haven't gone to town on the base, but it's pretty nice. I haven't got rid of all the pitting because I didn't want to remove any of the thickness and change how it looked or changed how it worked. If the bottom of the plane isn't flat, well, it's not going to be a plane anymore, really, is it? Okay, let's go on to the tote. Now this thing is the handle or the tote, and it will go on the back of the plane just there. All right. Now, why do they call it a tote? Because that's what you tote the thing around with. You pick it up by the tote. Good morning, Planty. So let's go through how I cleaned this up. Now, this was an absolute mess, and now it looks really respectable. This is cellulose acetate, the same as all of my Turner hand planes. It was suggested that I do timber, but I thought, you know, how about I keep it original? This was how it was when it was given to me when I was a 16-year-old kid. So I will come down here and we'll have a look at the tote when I first started cleaning it up. Bit of a different, hey? And another picture. And there was big scratches and big dents in it before that's why I had to use the sandpaper to clean it up. That's how it's going to be also with the knob. Now I've got down to around about 800 grit, and that's Festool Fleece, VLIES 800 that I've done it with there. And then I went to 4,000 platen. Well, I went through 1,000, 2,000 and 4,000 platen to get it to that stage. And then as you see it at the moment, that's why I went through the 5,000 cut and polish, and then I used 8,000 polish. And that, my friends, is what we're also going to do today, as I say, with that knob there. So it's a huge difference. And, you know, I know it had a lot of age. There's still a couple of marks on there that I'm not going to get rid of because I would have had to have done a lot of sanding to remove them. Okay, next thing, quick drink. How are we doing for time? Not even 10 past, good. Now, the next part up on the plane is the guy that lives in here. Now this is the frog, and this is the frog right here. Now the frog, why they call it a frog? I guess because when it's in there, it looks like a frog about to pounce. Goodness only knows. Maybe you guys there would know why it's called a frog. So in the frog, we have a couple of things. There's the depth adjustment screws threaded section. I'll take the tape off there. Now this is a left-hand thread in this area, just in case you're wondering. And I'm wondering why I didn't take this tape off before. This will be a little while. I think, oh no, it's starting to come off now for me. All right. Yep. The problem with the tape, of course, is that it sticks to you, but I didn't want to have any there. So that's come out. There's a tiny, tiny little bit of surface rust on that, if you can see it, but it's looking pretty good. Move that back there, move this back here. I'm also going to take, this is up the end of the frog, is what's called the lateral adjustment lever. See that? Now when I move that backwards and forwards, it moves this backwards and forwards. So I'm going to take the tape off this, and well, I'm going to try anyway. Christian, good morning, or good evening in Germany, is it? I think if I use my Stanley knife down the side, there it is over there, I might be able to take the paper off quicker. Yeah, that worked. Did you see the mistake that I put on Facebook this morning and Instagram? Very, very frustrating. This is the piece here. This is the hinge table section for Vicky's quilting table. And just right near the end, what happened was I used my little block plane to try and just finish cleaning up the edge of the timber where it comes onto the melamine there instead of my low angle. So I've got the low angle 5, number 5, and because it's a nice low angle, it doesn't catch on melamine, it'll slide on it. But the little block plane being a standard angle, it just straight in and dug in, and oh, I was so upset when it happened. But that's life, get over it. As someone I know says, build a bridge and get over it. Oh dear. All right, so there's the lateral adjustment lever. And it looks like, you know, it's some kind of a hand on a clock or whatever. So this part here goes into the blade and the lever cap. And it moves the blade left and right inside. Now on the back here, you notice I've actually painted it. I shouldn't have painted these areas here because the blade has got a slide on those. You can see the adjustment lever dropping into there. Okay, so to make it slide really nicely, I'm going to have to clean that off. So I've got a little bit of sandpaper here. I'll do that straight away. Just going to see, a lot easier than trying to mask it in that area. Won't be long. Try not to get the adjustment lever, the lateral adjustment lever. Spin around the other way. You can't see what's happening there, can you? How about I switch the cameras? There we go. Bring it over here a little. And down. There we go. A little bit more there. Good. And on that side. There we go. Now that will let the blade slide on it really easily. See the lateral adjustment lever in there? See how it moves the blade? All right. So there's the frog. I'll keep the camera over here for the moment, I think. Just bring it in closer. All right. Now the frog has got to go into the plain body, and there's a couple of things go in here as well. This little guy here is an adjustment that moves in there. Now it's going to screw onto that down there. I don't know if you can see that all that well or not. And it's also going to screw, where is it? This one here, I think it is. I think it's this one. So I've got the frog upside down, and then this, I'm pretty sure, and the other one is there. So, okay, so I'm going to, where is it? There. I'm going to put that in. Okay, like so. Now that's going to allow the frog to be moved backwards and forwards inside there. Now, why do I want to move the frog backwards and forwards? Well, let me get this in here first. This is the big one, goes in down the bottom, I'm pretty sure. I could quickly get the other plane and check, but I'm pretty sure this one goes in here. Yeah, there she goes. So this screw here, when I tighten it up a little bit, has plenty of room to travel out the other side there through the top of the sole of the plane. So I'm going to screw it all the way in, so it's making sure that it's nice and clean all the way through in that thread, and then back out again. And then either side there are two spots for these two screws to go into. So these two here. So they hold the frog in place. So we'd have to put that on there. I'll just quickly show you that. See how that's gone in. When I put the frog in, it's going to slide over that adjustment screw down the bottom, like so. Now I'm going to open that adjustment screw up a fair bit, and it's going to bring the frog with it. So I'm undoing it, and the frog is coming backwards. Now I've got a couple of screws are going to go in here. It's these two. I've already cleaned these up on the buff, because that's pretty boring, that part. That's that one, and the other one. I don't know if this is stuff that you're interested in looking at, but it's all part of what we do. Now, we don't do it up too tight, but enough just to hold it in position. Now, down in here, let me see if I can get some clear light behind. This is the mouth. So on this side, that's the mouth of the plane. Now, in a lot of planes, you'll have a section at the front that can travel forwards and backwards. Now, seeing how we don't have that in this basic 4.5 smoother and a lot of the standard Stanley bench planes, instead of doing that, we can advance the frog forwards and backwards. Now, why would we be even interested in doing that? Well, if I have if I have the mouth too wide, as I'm planing, if the blade is catching a piece of shaving and pulling it up, it may start tearing it if the mouth is too wide. If I bring the mouth down closer, or in this case, advance the frog forward a little bit, it's going to make it a smaller section, and it's basically breaking the chip. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Wayne said that the backing iron, which is what this is also a chip breaker. And I said, no. And then the other day I said, of course it was. I don't know what I was thinking. So this is the next part that's going to go on. So this is the blade, and it's a genuine Stanley, as you can see there. And it goes on to the back. This is the backing iron, and it goes on. You put it on like a cross. It's got to go across. Don't try and put it on this way and slide the blade up. You'll end up stuffing the blade as you bring it up to it. So you take it in, back this off just a little, then the backing iron goes underneath. So on the other side, you can see there's the backing iron there. And then I can advance the backing iron up till we're about 1 or 2 millimeters away from the end of the blade. Now, I've already sharpened this. You might have seen during the week, I did a little thing on Facebook where I was just using the Triton slow speed wet grinder. We'll go to the other camera like this. Now, I haven't tightened it up too much. Oh, just show you that it's sharp. How about we do that? Yeah, everyone wants to see a sharp blade, and I didn't send it off to get sharpened by someone else. I did it myself. What do we got? There we go. Nice and sharp. Beautiful. It's sharp. All right, put it back in again. It was just a little light touch. Don't use this as the screwdriver, even though that's what I was taught as an apprentice. All the tradesmen just did this. Now that I've become a little bit more of a purist, because I've got the time to be, I don't tighten it up like that. So what we do next now is that. And so we are now lining up the backing iron with the blade on some timber, and then I'm going to finish tightening it. That's good. And then right at the end, don't hold on to it like I was just doing then. Do as I say, not as I do. While it's down, give it the last bit. Stanley screwdriver too. And that's the same cellulose acetate as in the handles on the turner planes. The things we find out. Now, I'm going to advance this. Actually, I'm going to put the hand, I can't put all of the handle on. I'm going to put as much of the handle on, or the tote, as I can at this stage. I've got part of the tote's mechanism over here holding the knob onto the lathe. And we'll go through that in a minute. This is the small screw with a washer that holds the front of the tote. We'll go back to the other camera. This is the screw with the washer on it. And it's going to go in there. And it's always an idea to put that in before you put the frog on. The reason being, it makes it just a little bit easier to get the screwdriver in there. But no harm done. Just be careful not to stuff the thing while you're doing it. Okay, so it's starting to look more like a hand plane. I don't know why Yeah, they do. They have those round ones, like it looks like a disc, almost like a mouse with a blade on it, and you're down nice and tight. All right, let's look at what we've got to do now. You'll see down here, the mouth is so far open that the frog hasn't even come up to the edge of the mouth. So I'm going to adjust. Just wondering what's the best way for you guys to see this. Possibly if I turn it sideways like that, that might be best. I'm going to adjust it so it's going to be closing the mouth just by slowly advancing this. And I can look down. I'm sighting from back here. I'll go to the other camera, it might make it a bit easier. I'm sighting from here, looking straight down the length of the frog. And if I'm looking down the frog, I can see through the mouth, and I'm not quite there. So I'm going to just tighten it up a little bit more. And that's pretty good. At this stage, I'm going to tighten the two screws that lock it into position. Yep, that's not bad. And we can have a look at that again in a minute after we've cleaned up the other stuff here. Now, what else have I got there? Underneath in here, I've got the follower. This little guy here, it looks like a wishbone, and it's the follower that goes either side of the depth adjustment wheel. And it pivots and pushes the blade down or lifts the blade back up. Now it's got a tiny little pin. This is a very, very small pin that goes through that brass section in the middle. And that's basically the axle, if you want to call it that. To take these out when you're cleaning up a plane, I've got a little 2.5mm straight punch. And I turn the plane on its side, support it properly, and tap, 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 and out it comes. And you'll be amazed at how much you can clean these up and get them really nice and tidy. So I better put that back. It's got to go in that way, and that way. Let me see. I'm pretty sure it's there. Getting it back in after I put paint on it's going to be interesting, isn't it? I think it'll go in all right. Give me a sec, I'll get my little hammer. My fine engineering works hammer. And I'll switch the cameras back again. How long do I wait to do it again? Oh, well, it depends, Matthew. It really depends on how crappy it is. I'll get it in a little bit there. That's good. That was the paint holding onto it. That's my story anyway. So I'm going to turn this around so you can see what's happening. There's the edge. That's the edge of the pin just there. So I'm going to slide this up this way. I'll slide it over that. And up. It'd be a bit easier if I wasn't showing you. There, that's got it. Turn him around. Hold him up. Ah, that went down better. As I say, it's got the, that's beautiful. I'll give it a bit more of a tap and that'll get it in position. Excellent. Okay, so now we have our depth adjustment fingers, or whatever you want to call it, activator, and this is going to go onto there and they will be over the top of it. And then they'll drop into it as I screw it on. But I'm not putting that on quite yet. All right. Next thing is the cap screw. This guy here. Now this goes into the frog. It's a right-hand thread. We put it in a little bit. And then the blade, all bench planes are beveled down. So this is the bevel on the blade. The other side of the blade is flat. You can see it just there. Okay, this part here is the chip breaker on the backing iron. So I can put that in because, as I say, the blade has got to go down. And that all makes sense now. See how it moves the blade left and right? And the depth adjustment there can make the blade go up and down. But I'm not going to lock this in yet. The last thing to go on there would be the lever cap, like so, which gives it tension and locks it all in position. But I don't want to do that quite yet because I've still got to do some other things here. I've got to put that depth adjustment wheel in. Next thing to do is to go over to the lathe. So I'll switch cameras again for a second. And actually what I'm going to do, I'll bring the lathe over here because I think it's going to be easier for you to watch it. Now I did make comment about deep cycling batteries. What I'm doing is one of the kits that I bought many, many years ago, it's a DeWalt battery set, had a torch. And I thought the torch was pretty cool just for using. But this enables you to totally drain a battery. You hope it's not hitting the T-track. There's no blade in there at the moment. So I charge a battery, put the torch on it, turn it on, leave it. Let it totally die. Because the other day I went to grab batteries. I thought I'm full. They put it in the charger. It says, yeah, I'm full. Don't worry about charging it. Put it in a machine. I went, dead. Memory. Battery memory stores up. Now I can do this with my NiCads, with my lithiums, and also my nickel metal hydride batteries. They all, if you deep cycle them, you'll be amazed at how much you can bring them back to life. So I've got the lithium ion battery in there at the moment, and I've cycled it 6 times, and also a NiCad battery, same thing, 6 times. Every time I drain and then fully charge, drain, fully charge, I'm getting, well, let's work with the torch. It was running for maybe half an hour and then dying. Now I'm getting 45 minutes out of it. Then I'm expecting it to get up to, a whole lot more. Let's bring the lathe over here. Ordinarily, I'd have it on the lathe cart over there, but there's no real need because you might just find it easier to watch here. Here's another little tip. On the end of these little lathes, and I've this is my lathe. I love this little guy. I don't do a lot of turning, but they're very, very handy. Or you can do this with a drill press as well if you wanted to. But the thing is, I prefer to do it horizontally. With a drill press, I'm down like this and I'm trying to see what's going on underneath here. This is a whole lot easier. On the end of lathes, right, if you want to take your support, your tool rest and the tailstock off, rather than getting underneath and trying to undo those things that have got nylock nuts on them, you undo the end. Now you're probably all saying, yeah, of course, we knew that. It's a flashlight, not a torch, is it, Dave? And it will now slide off. And then you don't have to worry about adjusting that plate that goes down the middle. I felt like a wally when do you have things like that? You've done something one way for as long as you can remember, and then you get one of those light bulb moments, little light bulb flashes above your head, and you go, oh. Probably more than we all care to remember. Just putting it back on, because if there's any vibration, I don't want it to come through. All right. And I've got a power cord down here. Cool. What I have here, I'll show you. I've taken the tailstock and all that kind of stuff off here so that I don't have any chance of getting caught. These things may seem harmless, but they are spinning fast. This one's not a very strong one, but the bigger lathes, if you get caught, it's going to drag you in and it's not going to stop for anyone. It'll pull you all the way through the machine. The big ones, horrible. Okay, so don't have any loose clothing. If you wear a hoodie at all, you know how those little things hang off the front? Take the hoodie off. Get rid of the bloody thing. Put tight-fitting clothes on. See, I'll be fine with this t-shirt on, but these things are just so dangerous if you're not awake up to it. Okay. This area here, I'll bring this camera in nice and close. I think we'll just keep it here where I am. Camera 3. Okay. This area, this thing here, is the screw or bolt. It's a section of steel rod that's threaded on both ends, and that holds the tote in position on the plane. This is a little spacer that I made that slides over there that's going to keep me away from the chuck. It's a smaller diameter than the end of the section of the knob that goes into the plane. On the end here is another brass screw that I've got to clean up in a minute, and that goes on to holding this on the top of the tote. Now, why I've done that is because I can tighten this up to create tension and pull it tight without really endangering anything, me in particular. So I will also need to center this. I'm going to turn the lathe on. Now that's terrible. That's the high point there, so we need to do that, see how it goes. That's just as bad. That's the high point. Getting better. I'm going to move that out of the way for just a second. Video of just such an accident, PM to you. No, I don't like seeing any horror things. The reason I made comment was because someone did send a video to me of someone with it was a horrible lathe accident, and I felt sick for the next 2 days. I just hate exposing myself to that kind of stuff. So thank you, Peter, but no thank you. It's one of those things. That's why they have censorship out there. But honestly, that's a whole lot better now. It is moving up and down a little bit, but that's going to be okay. That's nice. Thank you, but no thank you, Peter. All right, I'm going to move that out of the way because it's taking away from how things look. And I'm going to use this bit of rubber. Now this is EVA foam, and it's very spongy. How nice is that? Turn this off and you can have a look at how daggy that piece was. We're going to start off with 180 grit sandpaper. See this seam here? That's going to disappear, and that doesn't worry me. And then up around the top here are a whole lot of nicks, and down here as well. So you can see these. So hopefully we're going to get rid of all of those. Oh yeah, absolutely terrible. Okay, here we go. Now see how I'm right away from the chuck at the moment? That block of wood is allowing me to work nicely. Go over the top. There's a couple of spots there that, see just here, I'm getting a little bit of, if I can bring this even closer, I'm just looking for it to go even. Won't be long. Okay, that's the 180. Let's stop that and have a look. I'm looking to, there's still a little bit of a dent there. There's a dent there. And there's a slot there. Now that might come out, there's another hole there. These might come out a little bit better as I go down through the grits. So that was 180, let's go to 240. And this time, I'm not going to use the block. I'm just going to use my finger because it's round. I'm chasing this part. You can see already it's starting to clean up well. I'm going to dry sand for a little while and then I'm going to go over to the micro mesh and I'm going to wet sand. I've got a little trick for that as well. How's that looking? Looking better. There's still a fair bit I've got to take out of there. I don't know what you're talking about there. So a message appeared on the screen. Well, you all know that I work for Carbotech and I buy my tools from them as well. But I don't put anything up on the screen. Maybe they are an advertiser that Google promotes their product that way. If you want to get any of the gear that I've got links in the description box down the bottom for the description of the video. But that's all that I do. It's an affiliate link and I'm totally open about that. That's good, that's good, that's nice, I like that. Yeah, I'm not going to totally get rid of them. Otherwise, I'll be there for a million years. Would a Scotch-Brite pad work? I'm going to go to 240 next. Possibly. I'm not just stopping at 240. I'm going to go down to 8,000. So this is early days. All right, I wanted some 320 next. This is 320 grit, still dry sanding at the moment. This is just to get through the coarser parts. This is shaping and getting rid of dents if we can. That's coming up nice. How's that looking? Okay, so that's taken us down to 320. And whilst there's a couple of tiny things in there, we're going to call them patina. Happens 2 weeks in a row that messages which include manufacturer's name do not appear. Okay. All right, the next one we're going to is 500. Again, dry sanding. This is 500 granite. Because I had it. I've tried all sorts of ways of doing this, and I found this way works the best for me. It may not work best for you. And there was a comment, yeah, should I use Scotch-Brite? Well, I'm sure you could. That was 500. Next we're going to go to 800. That's looking pretty cool. You notice with every grade that I go to, it's just going to be that little bit nicer. Can you see any change on it? Surely you can. And also, I'm guessing some of you are thinking, oh, Dave's got the paper round back to front. No, it's one of those things. This is the only grade paper that Festool makes that the grade is printed on the surface. I don't know if that's on purpose or if it's a stuff up. I do not know. How's that looking? That's looking a whole lot better. Cool. Was it a link? I think only mods can post. Okay. Don't use ad blocker because you'll stuff my ads up. Oh dear. Okay, so that's 800. Now we're going to go into these guys. These are micro mesh, and I use those with water. Now, one of the things that when you've got cast iron near water, it's not a great thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that underneath. Now that might fall off, so I've got a magnet here. There we go. How's that? What do you think about that one, Michael? I know Michael Christopher is passionate about not letting things get wet on his lathe. The bed. Let's turn that on. I've got all these. These are all in color coded, so I've got them all stacked in the correct order. And I'm hoping I can get this done quickly. Here we go. Now these are called scratch pads, or micro mesh, but they are scratch pads, and it gets down to a point where you can't actually see the scratch anymore. The human eye can't detect it. And they've got a foam backing in them, or foam center. Okay, that's one. Now that was 1500, this is 1800. We got a little score there, have we? Let me have a look. I do got a score there. We're going to have to work a little bit harder on that part. Alrighty, not to worry. We'll go back to the previous grit. which is this one. That got it. Okay. Plastic takeaway tray. Next one we're going to is 2400. I hope I got all these grades right. And the next one is 3200. This part is pretty quick. Next one is 36. Next one is 4000. And the next one is 6000. I'm trying to do this plus also focus on the chat. A little hard. I have no idea. That'll be my phone. I don't know what's happening there either. I'm going to let it ring. Gone to the message bank. This is cool. And the last one is 16,000. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to go to the polish. It's getting a bit grabby there. Okay, the polish is going to be where we're really going to see it. Where are they? Of course, of course, of course. Where'd I put them? I've probably put them out ready to use. I found them. Stop looking. And I haven't cleaned the workshop up today. I normally get the place nice and clean. I'm going to start with 5,000. Now on the back of the pads, I'll just go to the other camera. This is pretty important. On the back of the pads, this is my coarse, the orange, and the fine is white, and the super fine is black. I don't have that. I write the grit, so 5,000 on this one, 8,000 on this one, so that they don't, so I'm not contaminating one with the other grit. So 5,000 grit's what we're going to use first. So this is a cut and polish. I can move that out of the way. Like so. It's just, you could use a car polish if you wanted to, I guess. Go back to the other camera. Fire up. Good thing about these sponges, you can shape them. Now I have put a link down the bottom. If anyone wants these sponges, that's not a Festool, it's a set of 6. And the price is pretty bloody good. That's why I put the link up. I think you can get a set of 6 for basically the same price that you would buy one of these for. Okay, that's 5,000. Next one we're going to is, it's looking okay. Next one we're going to go to is 8,000. Give it a good shake again. It's a slightly pink colour. Whoop, going everywhere. Did it go on the camera? Good. I'm going to give that a little clean with a rag. This is just a microfiber cloth. If I'd use paper towel at this stage, I'd possibly scratch it. Well, that looks a whole lot better than what it was. So we'll go to the other camera now. And I'll take it off. I'm going to give it a quick rinse under the tap. To get rid of the excess polish that was hiding in there. What have we got? I'm dried on a hand towel. Looks a bit better. All right, let's put it on the plane. Move that. Do you use magnets as well, Michael, to do all that stuff? I'll take it out of there. I need this. And unplug that. I'm not going to be able to clean the inside of the depth adjustment wheel at the moment. I'll do that after the show during the Patreon chat. As I say, if you are interested in that kind of stuff, you can join me there. The knob goes on there. It looks like a new plane. It really does. That's that one there that I was using for that. Clean all that off. Give it a quick rinse. It really does look like a new plane. I'm going to buff this after the show, but just to assemble. Oh, now I need to show you some, put this on first because I'm too excited. I've got some pictures from a Sanderinera that I want to show you. how does that look? It's getting there. There's the front knob and the tote. The body is nice and clean. Everything is going to work. The cap will put in at the same time. Put that in, and that one there. Oh, actually, let's put the wheel in. And remember, it's a left-hand thread, so I'll just get it started. There we go. And up and over. There we go. That will drop in. There. Cool. This one on there, bring that back to there. It's pulling the blade back up into the body. Nice, about there. Lever cap. Got gunk on it, that's no good. We can adjust this down with the cap engaged with the lock, and then we can back that off and give it just one little bit more. Good. There we go. So you remember how it looked last year? Last year. Well, it was. No, nearly last year, by 3 days. Last week. It's a different plane. Well, it's the same plane, and but it looks a whole lot nicer. And it's one of those things. You pick up a tool that looks really nice, it picks your game up. It really does. If that was old and crappy and everything, I'd be working it wouldn't make me think again about, oh, you know, I should have just slowed down a little bit, especially when I was doing that thing for Vicky. Now, mouse. Okay, there's the keyboard. And the mouse will be somewhere here. There it is, right in front of me. Let's have a look. We have Dave Goldberg. Now, Dave has sent some stuff in. It's looking a whole lot nicer, isn't it? All right. Also, before I read Dave's stuff, this week we're installing an automatic blast gate just here. This gate will allow me to hook up any of these machines on this flexible hose, the dust hose, and when I turn the machine on, it will open the blast gate. It's got a linear actuator on it, and it will also send a signal down to my dust extractor to turn on, and I can set timing for however long I want it to stay on or off. Then I'll turn it off if I want. And it's also going to have a little remote, so it's a manual override. Very excited about that. I'll let you guys know next weekend how to go. All right, so Dave Goldberg, let's get down to here. Recently discovered your YouTube channel and have been enjoying it immensely. Thank you. I've been woodworker and fabricator for more than 40 years, but I'm always eager for new ideas and inspiration. I love the Stanton bench. Links in the description box. It's just brilliant. I've purchased the plans and might build one. Australia holds a special place in my heart. Spent 6 months in Melbourne about 10 years ago filming HBO's The Pacific. My day job at the time was visual effects supervision. I loved the city, the people, Aussie rules football, pretty much everything. Well, I never could get a handle on cricket. Oh, well. Attached are a few photos of some of my past woodworking projects. I do a lot of work in the California craftsman bungalow style. Let's go to the first photo. So here we go. A little bit of info about the pieces I sent you the photos of. The candlesticks, let me see, are made from walnut and brass. How nice are these? Dave, these are beautiful. And that's the base of the candlesticks. And the top, of course. The coat rack, and I'm reading through here, is made from cherry with cast iron hooks. And the jewelry box, and how nice is that, is curly mahogany and walnut. Let's have a close-up. What a talent. What a talent. Dave, thank you very much for sending those in. And thank you everyone for dropping in and watching. And as I say, I really didn't do this to tread on Vic's toes at all. If I'd known prior, I wouldn't have done it. But it's just it was a coincidence. It happened like there's a lot of people in the world, a lot of YouTube channels, a lot of people doing woodwork. I'm not the only one. And Vic's not the only one as well, but, you know, bit of a collision in the night. So I'm sorry about that. Okay, thank you everyone. Thanks for watching. And as I said, the patrons meeting is on just after this. I'm having a quick look down through here. And who's this? You know, when she was a pup, she could get under there really easily. Now I have to go and rescue her every time she goes under there. She can't get out again. You'd think they'd learn, wouldn't you? All right, patrons meeting. Give me a minute or two and I'll hook all that up. And thank you everyone to my patrons, and thanks for everyone for watching. Look after yourselves, be nice to each other, and until next time, next week, I'll see you later. Bye.